When Dr. Ben Bikman, author of the book Why We Get Sick and metabolic health expert, was asked what's the number one thing we can do to live long and healthy lives, he said, choose your genetics wisely. Several years ago, I was getting big. I was a lot bigger than I am now. I was buying bigger and bigger pant sizes. My blood pressure was going up, and I don't have genetics on my side. Those things run in my family along with other things, just like all of us. And so I knew that I had to do something to make some changes. Let me back up a few years. Emily and I both, Let me back up a few years. Emily and I both grew up in pretty mainstream American households, standard American diet type households. Not that that's a bad thing, but it's just what we grew up with and it was all we knew. And somewhere along the line, before I kind of got interested in what I was eating, she discovered Nourishing Traditions and Weston A. Price. And I wasn't quite there yet. For whatever reason, it just hadn't become something that was important to me. But she began to change the way we ate our meals. She kind of was the first one who introduced me to the concepts of seed oils and ultra processed foods and foods that had been chemically altered to be hyper palatable. I don't think I'd be alive if it wasn't for peanut butter and jelly, potato chips, fried chicken, all of those delicious things. But somewhere along the line, before I really became interested in what we were eating, Emily was introduced. I don't even really know how, but somehow she came across the Weston A. Price Foundation and Nourishing Traditions. And so she started to change the way we ate. And this was years before I had, gained some weight and decided that I needed to make some changes in my life. But it kind of set the stage for it. And I have to tell you, when I decided that something needed to be done for me, and I actually started to read Nourishing Traditions. I am watching my back right now. Those ponies are always causing problems with everybody. Oh, Ranger, of course. Keep an eye out for me. When I finally decided that something needed to change in my life with the way I ate, I got a hold of the book and I started reading. And I have to tell you that it was a near spiritual experience for me. It was one of those experiences where I knew that what I was reading was true. And so when I needed to make changes for me in my life, I took that knowledge and I added on to it with the other things that I was reading and learning. And I made some pretty big dietary changes. I lost a lot of weight. This was 6 years ago. And although I'm not perfect and, it kind of comes and goes within a few pounds, but I'm proud to say that after 6 years, I have not gained those 50 pounds back to any extent at all within just a few pounds. To this day, I'm within 2 pounds of where I landed 6 years ago. And I attribute that to the fact that I adopted a lifestyle change for me that worked in the long run. I didn't use meal replacement plans. I wasn't buying other chemically altered foods that I could replace real foods with. I didn't do that. I replaced what I was eating with things that kept me full, made me feel good, and the weight just kept falling off. And I felt fantastic and feel fantastic to this day. I won't lie, my body composition in 6 years has probably changed. I'm older and probably lost muscle over that period of time. So, okay, maybe I'm not exactly the same as I was. Beard is grayer and all that stuff. But I know other people that made similar lifestyle changes in their lives around the time that I did. And that weight came back. But for me, I didn't do the meal replacements and all that stuff. I just replaced what I was eating with other whole foods that kept me full, that had great satiety and worked. All the biomarkers that I was tracking, including blood pressure, improved. And I've just maintained the course for the most part ever since. Like many of you, I've concluded that much of what we were taught about nutrition is founded on faulty research paid for by special interest groups that didn't have our best interests in mind. And I firmly believe that beef is some of the most nutritious, nutrient dense, bioavailable food that we can eat. And as a result of that, when I made some changes in my life, beef was a major part of those changes. And so I don't care personally for the sort of global attack on the beef industry. And it sort of worries me a little bit about availability of meat, especially beef, in our future. And so that's one of the reasons why we decided to move, so that we would always be able to raise our own meat and have good, healthy, clean, for the most part, grass fed, maybe all grass fed beef. Cattle are just amazing creatures. You think about it, they eat hay, grass, things that to us are void of nutrients and would not make us healthy whatsoever. And they eat it and turn it into something that is absolutely amazing and delicious. And I just firmly believe that we're meant to eat it, along with other good, clean proteins and fats as well.